we can talk about like disability and gender and friendship and Vassar and like whatever you want.
The three genders, disability.
Yeah.
Maybe the gender was the disability we found along the way.
Yep. Hi, my name is Thayer. My pronouns are they, them. And yeah, I'm a rising sophomore at Vassar College. And yeah, these are my friends. And yeah, we all took a disability studies class together, which I think is how we all know each other. I guess we know each other through a few things.
Maybe an orientation, and
Yeah.
then I didn't talk to you for a semester.
Yeah. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure, I'll go first. My name's Amanda. I am a first year at Vassar College, soon to be a second year, because this is the end of the semester, end of finals week. Very exciting. Pronouns are she, her, and as of right now, I'm a women, feminist, and queer studies major. Very exciting.
Thanks, Amanda.
Of course.
I'm Alisha. I'm also a first year, soon to be a second year at Vassar. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm probably a double major in media studies and women, feminist, and queer studies. And I'm from the UK.
Nice.
It's a fun fact.
I'm from Brooklyn.
Especially since we're all queer and disabled, different people will make different assumptions. What do you want people to know when you're first interacting with somebody? What do you want them to like think or say, or how do you want them to interact with you?
I think it depends very much on the person and like whether I want them to like know what they can do to help me, or whether I want them to just be like, ah yes, a cool person. Anyway, move on. Yeah.
I mean, I agree. Yeah, I think like for me, the basic thing is respect. That's been like not in like a respect your elders way, but like that's a lesson that's been really like ingrained in me since I was young, of like the people around you deserve respect and you should be like respecting their boundaries, listening to them when they're expressing anything, even if it makes you feel upset because they're expressing something like that they feel about something you did. And I think like as a disabled and as a queer person, there is a lot of disrespect for autonomy that comes in, and a lot of like specifically with disability, the idea of like this disabled person hasn't asked for help, but I'm going to help them because I think they need it.
So it's the wrong kind of help as well.
Exactly.
It's never the right.
Yeah.
It's like with airports, they always give you a wheelchair, no matter what. They always give you a wheelchair. If you say you are disabled and you have to go through the airport, they will give you a wheelchair. Because everyone knows that. That's just casual. Everyone knows.
Do you want to explain why that's not helpful to you?
Well, what I need when I go through the airport is I need like someone to, I don't know, like either tell me the announcements or like just like give me my gate. Don't change the gate, and just like help me just because I can't hear the announcements is the main thing. So like if the airport has a screen, great. If it doesn't, but it always takes like 30 minutes of like negotiating at the desk to just try and get someone to like take me through security. So like yeah, it just there needs to be more of a like baseline for asking what you need rather than just like here are the things we offer. We are going to assume.
Yeah. To like go off of that, I think a big thing that's like important to me when I first meet people is like respecting what I say. You know what I mean? I sound very strange being like respect, but I do stand by that because I think, like you were saying, Alisha, there's a whole culture around like the disabled person doesn't know what they need, so we're going to decide for them. And I think like respecting what disabled people want as well as like our boundaries, and that also falls into queerness, of just like respecting what I call myself or like what I'm experiencing and not trying to prescribe a bunch of experiences or identities to me instead of listening to the identities I carry. Just like listening to me is something I really value in anyone that I meet, whether it's like a person I'm talking to in an elevator, why we're talking about disability and queerness, I don't know, but that's what we're talking about, versus like a family member versus a friend I met at college.
I would say that definitely applies to like being trans as well, because there's so much of a like, this is what you should want. You don't know what you need, blah 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 blah. That comes with like anything medical, especially. It's very much like you have to go through so many different forms and so many different doctors, so many different processes, so they can be like, we think this is what you want. We have proved this over like 3 years. It's not like you told us this at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now pay us $300. Which is a whole nother issue. But I think that, yeah, basically I just really agree with you on that.
Yeah. I think that for me, part of it is just like when you first meet me, I try to like offer my name and pronouns at the same time and say like, hi, my name's Thayer and my pronouns are they, them. One of the things that's really helpful to me is just to either like offer your pronouns with your name or just ask me like, like if I say, oh, hi, I'm Thayer, then just saying like, oh, and what are your pronouns, Thayer? And I'll say like, oh, my pronouns are they, them. And then, or also just saying like, hi, I'm Bob and my pronouns are he, him. And I'll be like, oh, cool, thanks. And then I'll also respond because that way I know that you're somebody that I can trust with that, because especially since a lot of people aren't comfortable with they, them pronouns, or even with like offering pronouns with your name and that kind of thing. And that's really like new and confusing for a lot of people. I'm not trying to say like, oh, you need to be in the know and share your pronouns like all the time with your name, like in order to really support the queer community or whatever. Like, no, like I totally understand that different people are at different places with pronouns, but it's a way that you can show me like, I'm going to accept you, I'm going to like honor and respect your pronouns. And that's something that makes me feel so much more comfortable knowing like, oh, okay, this is somebody that I'm safe with, you know, this is somebody who's going to respect how I refer to myself and how I want to be referred to, even on days like this when I'm wearing very feminine clothes, that they're still going to respect that my pronouns are they, them.
I think I met you in like orientation week in the library and you did that and I was like, which is very cool.
What?
I think I met you in orientation.
Or did
and I think you like said like, hi, my name's Thayer, my pronouns are they, them. And I was like, yes. It was really nice.
Yeah. No, it might be confusing to folks who haven't like heard of sharing your pronouns with your name. If you just say like, oh, hi, I'm Bob and my pronouns are he, him. I don't know why you're Bob. I hope your name is Bob if you're watching this. If not, better change your name.
Bob the Builder.
You know, there are Bobs that are very sweet. And I know people named Bob that are very sweet. Anyway.
Continuing on.
Yeah, moving on.
Correct.
Yeah, it's just, it like, if you come across somebody who's like pronouns, what do you mean? Like, I don't get that. Then it's an opportunity for you to share with them. Like, oh, it's not something, like, you know, you can share or not, do whatever you want. It's just something that I do so that people know how to refer to me. And that makes the world just so much more wonderful and inclusive space for trans folks.
I think I'm kind of scared for women like not in college though, because Vassar is such a like good space for that, and like in all the classes, at least a lot of the ones in the first semester, the teachers would be like, oh, everyone go around with their name pronoun. I think yes. But I think, I don't know, I'm just kind of scared for like not Vassar, I think, because
I agree. I am going to admit I watched quite a few pros and cons of Vassar videos on YouTube before I made my decision. Listen, you know, gotta weigh the different components. And one of the like pros / cons was Vassar is kind of in a bubble in that way of like the ultimate culture is very much like understanding and like respecting queerness if you're not queer, and it's over like there are a lot of queer people on this campus, which yes, that's the agenda. That's the agenda. Yes, exactly.
I'm going around being like, there's not a queer agenda. There's not like a gay agenda. And Amanda's like, no, there is a gay agenda. This is it.
This is the gay agenda.
Are you watching this? Yeah. Okay, anyway.
If you're watching this, you are gay.
I stand by it. But I think that's part of it.
Sorry, you're all gay now.
Listen, I respect whatever you like label your sexuality as, or if you don't have a label, that's also okay. This is a joke. At the same time, I do like referring to this as an agenda. I do like to do that. So please
It's
don't
fun to
take
joke
this
around.
personally.
It is a joke. It is. Which is the point of the joke?
Yeah.
Actually, it's really interesting.
In some ways, Vassar is a bubble in the sense of like the culture around these kinds of topics. Even if you have like a few outliers or people that don't agree with that, there is an overall like understanding of like this is important and we want to have like all of our community members understand why it's important. And then when you like go into the world outside, which is how I heard it described in one of the videos, which is why I put it in quotation marks, it can be a little bit jarring because of like how surrounded you are in this one community.
Like, I like the Vassar community, but because I heard a lot about the Vassar bubble as well, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a bad thing. But like, I like it when I'm in it.
Yes.
And then I go out of it, and I do not like it as much.
That's so
sort
fair.
of
I think, especially because in the UK, it's not very it's kind of difficult to explain, but a lot of the places I've been going to like visit my friends over breaks and stuff have been the most cis-het places in existence. And it's just very strange to come from like Vassar to that in the span of like a day.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember reading, like when I was thinking about that, because I also saw the same thing, like, oh, Vassar's a bubble, like, there'll be, it'll be super accepting of, your like gender fluid identity, but also, it's not like the real world and like that kind of thing. I remember thinking about James Baldwin referring to Howard University as like a mecca for him. And I know that it's a very different situation, but I was just thinking about that as a way to say, like, all right, these are 4 years of my life when I'm going to be studying in a place that is very accepting and can be sort of narrow-minded in that way, in that it's like only inclusive of the LGBTQ plus community, which means that you don't get to sort of work through challenges to the LGBTQ plus community as much. And that's something that I value, really, like challenging what I believe to be true and like what I believe to be good. And so, I want to be in places where people are asking me like, well, why do you believe, all of the different things you believe, whether that's like faith or politics or LGBTQ plus status or whatever it is. Like, I find it very helpful to sort of have to work through those things. And so I'm kind of thinking of these 4 years as a place to like be safe and study, like a place where people are just going to accept me as I am, no questions asked. And so I can like study and learn more about things in this safe place and then use that to go out into the world and teach people about like who I am and what I've learned and what I think is important and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I also feel like the bubble can be a way to learn like to change things outside of the bubble. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like that's something we've discussed a lot in like disability studies. Something I've discussed in other classes I've taken is the idea of radical imagination, of like having an imagination and being able to imagine something different is a radical act and is necessary for radical change. And the idea that like we can be in Vassar and be like, what if the people in my like new workplace in this different state also did this? And then what if they brought that idea to these people in their life? Is really wonderful. And also, like you were saying, studying in a safe place is a really important part of being able to learn and being able to like contextualize that learning. And I also think like being in a space where you feel that comfortable and where you have those experiences makes it easier to take those experiences out into the world beyond the bubble and be like, here's what I can identify as what I liked, here's what I didn't like, here's how I can work towards change and like be part of that. Thank you for having me. Thanks for having us. It's very fun. And also, just like you using this to like share your voice and share the voices of other people to all the people watching. Your voice matters, your experience matters.
Yeah. That's a good thing to share.
Thanks.
I have nothing to add to that. I'm just like,
Yeah.